And it's about that time. We're live. Looking at the sun on 193 angstroms. This is the last 48 hours of solar activity. And we're going to give you 1 minute of lead time to join the chat. And then we will be right back. 1 minute. And we're running very late, so it's about time to get started here. Let's just shut that down. So we see very low activity here. We see 0 sunspots. Let's look at the 304 angstroms view also. Very weak activity. And let's take two close-up images here as I attempt to speak the English language. Want to see the magnetogram? Let's go to this one. As we've been watching this plage over in the northeast. And there you have it. It looks like it's breaking down as forecasted yesterday. Not expected to become a sunspot at this point. And let's go through one more image here. Look at the magnetic lines. As there's not a lot of data to look at. We'll go to the 94 angstroms view here. And please zoom as requested. There we go. And there's the magnetic lines. Not a lot going on, folks. Not a lot going on. But we have a space weather video for you anyway. And we're going to blast through it like it's going out of style. Even though it's not going out of style, it's going in style. Here's a real-time solar wind. We see the triangle's been jumping all over the place for the past 24 hours. Solar wind density 6.34 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed 323 kilometers per second. Next, we're going to go to the magnetosphere movies. We're going to look at the velocity, the density, and the pressure. First, the velocity. No big changes there. And for any new viewers out there, part of the reason we archive this every day on our space weather videos is because this data is not accessible. So you can't look at old data. You can only look at the most recent 4 hours, courtesy of University of Michigan. Here's the density. And it's pretty much steady as she goes. And lastly, we'll look at the pressure. Of the magnetosphere. And that one's not playing yet. Let's let that play. We'll let that play all the way through for you. Nothing to have bunched up panties about there. Greatest pressure is in the bow shock, not the magnetotail, which does affect the charging environment of the planet. As the planet acts like a capacitor and a transformer to the current of the heliosphere. We're not going to get into it. We're just going to look at geospace ground perturbations, and we're not going to explain the physics of how everything in the universe works, as there's a lot of stuff to do, other stuff. And we are having problems. There we go. Anyway, here are the geospace ground perturbations of the poles, and looking pretty steady, much like the magnetosphere. So nothing too exciting there. It's a good time for a holiday weekend picnic. Here's the global ground perturbations. And geospace looks like it's pretty much staying the same. Although the main perturbations really still are as usual, associated with the South Pole migrating toward Western Australia and the Canadian pole migrating southwest toward Hawaii. Believe it or not, folks, believe it or not. We watch it every day. And that's part of the reason. We see a little lower electron content forecast here. That is, it's lower than nominal levels, but it's higher than the past couple of days as the electron flux is steadily rising over the past 3 days. smAsho.org if you're not familiar. The mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, to raise the awareness of the general public, the relationship between space weather and Earth effects, to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems, to publish scientific papers, to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon, to not be ossified in our beliefs. Pretty basic. So thanks for supporting us, those who are in the early stages of our operation. We're approaching the 1-year anniversary of a daily space weather video every single day. I believe that happens on June 6th or 5th. And it's just a coincidence if that's any significance to you. So thanks for visiting the links in the description below the video. And if you want to sponsor the cycling team, which is the Velo Shop, please email me at smashomash@gmail.com. That's smashomash@gmail.com. The shop is owned by Kim Geist. Not by Kim Geist, by Becky Quinn, and features athlete Kim Geist, part of the U.S. Women's Olympic Long Team. So again, if you want to sponsor the team, email at smashomash@gmail.com. Here's what we used to look like doing a team time trial. And these guys aren't still all on the team. This one here is me. This guy here in the red helmet, that's me. And this guy's name is Daryl, I think. I can't remember his last name. Next, we have my pal Chuck. Shout out Canfield if you're watching. Wearing the Klein jersey and riding the fiery paint job Klein. Here's John O'Neill and John Weller. Shout out dudes if you watch a space weather videos. Haven't heard from this guy, Mr. Weller, in ages. Hope he's doing well, maybe even weller. Anyway, if you want to sponsor me personally, there's a lot of billboard space on training jerseys and on helmets and shoe covers and things. So if you want to do that, again, email me. Or if you want to do it anonymously or less anonymously, and check the links in the description. Remember, the bicycle is the most efficient means ever devised to transport humans. Let's look at the synoptic map, something we've been doing lately here at a time of ultra solar minimum. As solar activity is super low, 10.7 centimeter radial flux has been at 66 or 67 for the past several days. So, I mean, what else can I say besides weak mixed fields? That's what's going on. Out solarhand.net. Torrid meteor storm is on the way, responsible for the Tunguska impactor And we've recently discovered that there's larger debris in there than just the pebble-sized meteors. So check out the article from just a couple days ago there at spaceweather.com. Direct links on spaceweather.com. Close encounters with the Taurus swarm. If you're not familiar with the Tunguska explosion, it was a nuclear weapon-sized meteor strike. Now, was it a meteorite? Well, part of it was. But most of it was a meteor because most of it exploded high above the Earth. High enough to cause an electromagnetic pulse, indeed. Here we are at spaceweathernews.com. We see a flatlined X-ray flux at very low levels. Magnetometer is flattening out too. And we're going to look at the going to in a moment to get the skinny on what's going on with the local heliospheric magnetic environment. KP is at 1. And at least the KP index meter is not giving us the finger today. Speaking of giving us the finger, what's going on in the comments? Shout out Harry Wire. And thanks for all your hard work, smAsho staff. And all your easy work. There's the electron flux. We see it is a little bit dipped here, but not as low. And we are seeing a disparity between the GOES 14 and 15 there. So you can see that the 15 is a little ahead of the 14. And if you're not familiar with what these graphs mean, this means midnight local time for the satellite, and this means noon local time for the satellite. Again, the GOES 15 is a little ahead of the GOES 14. You can see getting a little different readings there, so that's something to watch throughout the day. If you're a real space weather nerd. Charging hazards are non-existent. And the nighttime side is discharged. Really, both sides are discharged right now, and that looks the same as what you'd expect based on the magnetosphere movies. We like when the data corroborates. It's the anomalies that make us go, We see weak auroras, no surprise there. I'm going to skip cosmic rays. I'm going to play the gong too. I don't know if that's the newest. I better load the newest. There we go. This is 522 through 526. Last frame is 2 hours and 4 minutes old. Boring environment here. We are going to see magnetometer spikes as this area is a more direct field force line to the corona. That's the only comment I have. Let's go to Stereo A space weather beacon. The coronagraph, 4 months behind the planet. And I don't know why, folks, but every time I click something, it requires like 3 clicks. I'm going to take this Logitech mouse and I'm going to throw it in the garbage. And I'm going to buy a nicer mouse with a cord. As this mouse is hurting my gaming. All right, so here's Stereo A space weather beacon. We see some coronal mass ejections coming out of the far side of the sun. Right here. I would note that the Earth is over here somewhere. And so no real activity pointed your way, folks. And I really mean no activity. It's very low levels of activity. It's a proper solar minimum, and we're right in the depths of it. For you new viewers out there who are not aware, Stereo A is located about here. Stereo B is located about here. And so the view we just had was like from this angle, kind of from Mars's perspective. And the coronal mass ejection that you saw was going like this, not toward your homies. Hope that made sense. Anyway, there are the locations of your planets. As we creep up on Jupiter, you should have a great view of it if you get up before dawn and it's clear. So check out the ecliptic. And we are looking at the wrong day. Let's refresh. Welcome to Sunday morning. Now, I always orient mine to the south because that's where the ecliptic is. It makes it easier to figure out where stuff is, especially when the moon, Saturn, and Jupiter are all right near or on the ecliptic. Anybody out there watching, leave a comment, let us know your location. And please follow us on Instagram, as we've got a lot of stuff on there that we don't feature on the YouTube channel, as the YouTube channel focuses on things like astrophysics. We do screw around, and we write math equations such as P equals BSP slash TTK, which means Bernie's popularity is equal to the inverse proportion of Bernie socialism multiplied by pandering to specific groups divided by a given group's individual skill, talent, training, and knowledge. Let that one sink in. If you didn't understand it, go back, pause the video, do the math. Also, follow us on Twitter if you like. It's an easy way to share our videos. And no, I don't tweet or enjoy the platform. Here's Facebook moronically asking us for our phone number once again and displaying it on the screen. That is our business number for Golden Cap Productions. If you'd like to call it, feel free. Go back and pause the video there. Take down the number. Give me a ring. I'm not citing it on the air. Google, transcribe that. Just kidding. You're going to transcribe it anyway. So follow us on Facebook.com/smAsho for all your shadow banning needs. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do so. Located at youtube.com/smAsho. Let's look at the earthquake situation over the past 24. Holy crap. We just had an 8.0 coming in Peru. That's literally while we did show prep. Finally, the 8+ magnitude earthquake drought has ceased. Let's see if it's generated a tsunami, folks. Looks like it's inland. And it's been downgraded to a 7.5. Oh, man. Let's look at the map. That's going to do some damage, and it's going to affect a large area. Largest quake in the past, man, I don't even know, a year? 2 years? It's finally happened, and it's right in the kind of area that we warn. Pretty close to Trujillo. .0 magnitude quake in Peru. Let's go down the rest of the list. We see a 4.5 in Tonga at depth, portending larger quakes at the surface there. So be on warning there too. Also Vanuatu. So there's an earthquake uptick for you, an 8.0. If you're in these areas, you're still experiencing a bit of a drought. This is going to be quite a disaster down here. If you're in those areas, try to be an asset, not a liability, and be prepared for buildings to fall down and so forth, especially if you're in an area with non-earthquake code buildings. Also see a 4.5 in Chile at depth, suggesting a larger quake could happen at the surface there. Here's a 4.7 in Peru. Shout out South American viewers. Here's a 4.2 in Colombia. .5 in Indonesia. That Colombian quake also at depth, by the way. So be prepared for a larger quake there. We're going to look at the pressure maps in a moment. The Middle Eastern earthquake uptick continues here as a quake has hit Iran, a 4.2. That's been going on for a solid week to 10 days. Here's a 4.7 in Indonesia at an extremely deep depth, 587 kilometers. Suggesting a larger quake could occur at the surface there. Here we see a quake in Greece. the antipode of Tonga. Coincidence? I think not. Here's a 4.0 off the coast of Oregon. Shout out West Coast. 4.6 at Japan. Earthquake uptick around the board, folks. Not just that 8, but more. 4.2 at Chile at depth. Here's a 4.7 at Japan. Here's the 4.7 in China. A 4.8 in China. 4.6 in a new hot spot there. Let's actually zoom in on that, as that has been shaken pretty hard lately. Just want to show you the location of that. There have been many quakes there in the past couple of weeks in the Andaman Sea. And oh man, look at the uptick. Also a 4.6 at 564 kilometers depth at Fiji. Here's a 4.3 at Dominica. So be on alert, folks. If you're in an earthquake-prone zone, be ready. 4.7 in Vanuatu, 4.7 in India, 4.8 in Indonesia, 5.0 in Indonesia. A lot of quakes, significant quake uptick. Let's look at pressure maps and let this thing play through for a minute, as anomalous low pressure systems are associated. Can we zoom out? All right, this is good enough. Let's let this play. And let's let us pray, because there's going to be damage and death in Peru, I would imagine. That quake hitting just east of the Andes, which is a good thing for those west of the Andes, and a bad thing for those east of the Andes. Here we are through Monday. If you're in a quake-prone zone and you see a low-pressure zone coming over the top of you, especially if it's going in an odd direction, like up a plate boundary, or if it's traveling east to west instead of west to east. Here we are in midday Wednesday. If you're in a situation like that, be prepared, as you can predict earthquakes. Believe it or not. Go to volcanoes, and let's let Windy allow us to control our own computer. Windy.com's got a great mobile app also, by the way. Let's make sure this is updated. Volcano rundown. Popocatépetl. Occasional emissions back on the chart. Popocatépetl. Shout out Central Mexicans. 1,500,000-foot ash plume coming out of Revenador in Ecuador. And Sabancaya with a 27,000-foot explosive plume there. I would note that we did see Cinnabung producing a stratospheric level explosive eruption yesterday. These are the kind of eruptions that cool the planet. Not just through the ash, but also through things like carbonyl sulfide. Shout out Anomalous Howard. And let's go back to the chat. Looks like we've got some more guests. Thanks for joining into the live chat. Sorry to hear it's so flooded, Dakota, in Iowa. That sucks. Shout out Iowans. Yeah, that means you, Aubrey. Good morning, everybody, including Dakota, Harry, and Mr. Keebler. Everybody else who's in the live stream, please leave a comment. See some more snow falling in Northern California and Oregon, and some heavy storms still hitting places such as Indiana. Let's look at the worst spots. That was the wrong map, folks. All right, we're going to zoom in on Indiana here, as Indiana has the most violent storms. And they look nasty. Ohio, you're in the crosshair, as well as northwestern Indiana. Fort Wayne, you are getting hit. It is coming, Fort Wayne, and you're going to get trained. So be prepared. South Bend, you're going to mainly get a light show and some rain. Let's look at lightningmaps.org because it's going to be one hell of a light show. If you're not familiar with lightningmaps.org, next time you hear thunder, open the program. Lightningmaps.org. North Manchester, here comes some thunder, as well as Logansport. Holla. Leave a comment. A big stroke just hit right here. You see multiple strikes at the same time. That's one bolt coming out of the mesosphere, most likely. If you're not familiar with the mesosphere, we'll have to explain that on a different video. Here's a water vapor map from the NASA GOES interactive weather satellites. We're going to zoom in on that area and that area only, as that is our local U.S. Earth spot for the day. If you're into weather porn, there you go. I would note all of the Hall current streamers that you see right here that are perpendicular to the motion of the water. Those do give you insight into how these systems are moving. The evaporative and radiative processes associated with these things are electrically involved, let's say. So when you see a lot of water vapor vanishing off the map, as it does right here, let's put an arrow instead. See that area? See all that water vapor vanishing? That's because Western Illinois just got drenched again. So we hope you're able to get your crops planted, folks. I suggest getting a lot of stuff started indoors. Buy a couple cheap LED grow lights and dedicate some space and understand the difference between your ass and a hole in the ground. If you think the planet's warming, I feel sorry for you. Let's look up climate change on Merriam-Webster, which means changes in the Earth's weather pattern. Now let's look up global warming. I can't type today. There you go. Look up global warming. Do you have a yen to understand global warming? Apparently it's a predicted occurrence in an increase in oceanic temperatures due to the greenhouse effect. You think that's the way it works, folks? Just saying. The planet is so hot that it's cold. I would recommend you check out Brave browser if you're using Google Chrome especially. It's not going to track you. It's going to help to fix the internet instead of messing up the internet like some tech giants. Shout out tech giants if you're ruining the internet. Leave a comment. We'll be glad to debate you on it. Also, check out DuckDuckGo, the search engine that won't store your personal information ever, won't follow you around with ads, and won't track you in or out of private browsing mode. As any criticism, not accompanied by constructive criticism, is just criticism. Not to get corporate on you, but it's true. It's true. Let's talk about V404 Cygni as astronomers see rapidly swinging jets coming out of an object that they don't understand. Now, V404 Cygni is a binary system where there's a star orbiting a, quote, black hole, end quote. And while it is in our galaxy, it's about 7,800 light years from Earth, apparently, although it is hard to measure things, especially when the jets are doing what V404 Cygni's jets do. Now, if you're not familiar, massive objects tend to have massive Z-field jets. Our sun has massive Z-field jets. And from your perspective, even the Earth has massive Z-field jets because you're tiny. Anyway, it first came to astronomers' attention in 1938 and got a designation as a variable star. But Anyway, now it's more like this, and we're going to let the video play and the audio not. So now this is a wobbly object. We would call it a black hole uh, if we didn't understand what we're talking about. So there you can see the simulation of the Z-field jets as it pulls plasma from a local orbiting star. And this is a binary system similar in some ways to Deneb, aka Cygnus X3. And it's a wobbly black hole. So as it rotates, the Z-fields wobble back and forth in a precessional fashion, similar to the way the Earth's axis wobbles back and forth. This just does it really fast and in a very energetic fashion. Apparently, it only takes a very short period of time for the star to orbit this thing, and people that don't understand physics think that the black hole is dragging space-time around with it. It doesn't need to do that, and that's a crazy idea. But anyway, we'll leave links to the article here from News regarding V404 Cygni. And if you'd like to monitor it yourself, just head to the Burst Alert Telescope page that we look at regularly, the Neil Gorell's Swift Observatory, and type in V404, and there you have it. Go to that, and there are the emissions. Now, we saw a crazy emission from it in 2015. This is in the constellation Cygnus, and this clearly has nothing to do with most of the activity. Or we would see an uptick around 2009 like we do with the rest of the major Cygnus objects. We won't get into it, but look at our previous videos as we talk about Cygnus quite a bit for obvious reasons. So anyway, here's the most recent transients. And as you can see, please zoom. I don't know what's going on with it. It's telling me it's at 100%. I mean, look at that. What is that? That is crap, is what that is. I wouldn't be surprised in increased incidence of Ebola, especially with the global crop losses. GSM and plagues absolutely go hand in hand. Anyway, here, all right, this really pissing me off now. I don't know why it's taking so long to load. Apparently we have too many tabs open. And I'm trying to show you the most recent. Oh, geez. All right, we're out of this page. Let's hope the system doesn't crash entirely. And on that note, let's shut down Epic Pen entirely before it does. And let's play some music. Now, yesterday, we finally set up an account at Ice Age Farmer. If you're not familiar with global crop losses and the reason that food prices are going to rise, well, I suggest you check out iceagefarmer.com/map. He's doing a great job documenting it. Thanks, Christian. Shout out. Hope you're watching the video. And I'm having Christian on soon. We recently started an email conversation here, and we look forward to it. World faces clear and present danger from trade war escalation. And I'm going to leave links to the article here from Reuters. It's mainly talking about tariffs because the goal here is to demonize Trump and China. So keep in mind that tariffs are a tax that are passed on to you, the consumer. They hurt the poor more than anybody else. If you think tariffs are helping you, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You'd better be the owner of a steel forge or something like that, or tariffs are not helping you. If you're not literally the owner of an aluminum factory, if you're just a worker there, tariffs are still going to raise your prices. So tell your local congressman that you don't like tariffs and you think they're stupid. Also, have a safe weekend and have a beer and a burger for me as you observe the honoring of our fallen heroes. Shout out military viewers. Have a safe and blessed Memorial Day. Next, I would like to say De Oppresso Liber, which means from the oppressed, the free, part of what our channel's mission is. look at some more images of the sun here. How about 94 angstroms? We're going to open up the chat, and then we're going to vanish, just like the Big Bang Theory. We're going to do one more bonus, things that I randomly think of while making the videos, although I guess it's not very random, is it? We see some funky plasma streamers here at 94 angstroms. I don't know if you can see them or not. One's associated with the solar North Pole, and one is over here, south of this active region. Let's see if we can get that located right about here. And I guess I can't advance very well. This is a different viewer than when you request a custom view, by the way. I don't know why it doesn't play right. Anyway, there's a 94 angstrom view, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, donors. Please don't forget to press like and subscribe and press the notification bell, as we often come up with stuff long before anybody else, to the point where it's incoherent. We're watching the watchers who watch the watchers. So since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis not present in your veins. And when you're staring at the sun, remember, don't drink it if you drink. Stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive.